The concrete walls of Cell Block C at Riverside State Penitentiary had seen their share of secrets, but none quite like this. Tommy Chen pressed his ear against the cold wall, listening to the hollow echo that had been bothering him for weeks. The sound wasn't right, too empty, too different from the solid thud of reinforced concrete elsewhere in his cell. It was March 15th, 2023, and Tommy had been at Riverside for exactly 3 months. The 28-year-old former accountant was serving 2 years for embezzlement, a crime that still made his stomach turn with shame. Unlike most inmates, Tommy kept to himself, spending his days reading legal texts in the prison library and his nights staring at the water stain on his ceiling that reminded him of his daughter's drawing of a butterfly. The discovery happened by accident. While doing his evening push-ups, Tommy's shoulder bumped against what he thought was just another crack in the deteriorating wall. Instead, a small piece of concrete crumbled away, revealing darkness beneath. His heart hammered as he carefully picked at the edges with a plastic spoon smuggled from the cafeteria. After 20 minutes of careful work, a hole the size of a softball appeared. Tommy's flashlight, a contraband item he'd traded 3 cigarettes for, revealed a hollow space behind the wall. And there, wrapped in plastic and duct tape, was something that would change everything. A worn composition notebook, its pages filled with cramped handwriting. The cover bore a name in faded ink, Marcus Rivera, 2019. Tommy's hands trembled as he opened to the first page. The date read June 3rd, 2019, just 2 months before the infamous Riverside riot that had left 3 dead and dozens injured. But it was the first line that made Tommy's blood run cold. If you're reading this, then I'm either free or dead. Either way, the truth needs to come out. As Tommy read deeper into the night, the fluorescent lights humming overhead, he realized he was holding more than just a diary. This was a roadmap, a detailed account of corruption, brutality, and a desperate man's plan for freedom. Marcus Rivera had disappeared during the 2019 riot, officially presumed dead when his body was never found. But according to these pages, Marcus Rivera had planned his disappearance down to the last detail. 4 years earlier, June 2019, Marcus Rivera had been 23 when he entered Riverside, his dark eyes still holding traces of the optimism that had carried him through 2 years of community college. Convicted of armed robbery, a charge he maintained, his innocence on until his dying day, Marcus had been sentenced to 8 years in a system that seemed designed to break rather than rehabilitate. Through his diary entries, Tommy learned about Marcus's early days at Riverside. The young man from East LA had struggled with the prison hierarchy, refusing to align with any gang despite pressure from both Latino and African American factions. This independence had made him a target, but also earned him a reputation for fairness that would prove crucial to his survival. Day 47, one entry read, "Guard Patterson left my cell door unlocked again during count. 3rd time this month." When I mentioned it, he just smiled and walked away. I'm starting to think it's not an accident. Tommy's stomach tightened as he read about the systematic harassment Marcus faced. Guard Patterson, along with 2 others, Morrison and Hayes, had apparently singled out Marcus for special attention. Late-night cell searches that destroyed his few possessions, meals that arrived cold or not at all, and medical requests that mysteriously disappeared. But Marcus was observant. Too observant. Day 73 saw Patterson take an envelope from Carlson in the yard today. Carlson's the one running book for the fights. Money changed hands, at least $500 from what I could see. Patterson's dirty, and I think he knows I saw. The harassment escalated after that incident. Marcus documented each occurrence with the precision of someone who understood that details might one day save his life. Beatings disguised as accidents during transport, evidence planted in his cell during searches. His commissary account mysteriously emptied twice in 1 month. Day 156. They're trying to break me, but I won't break. Mama didn't raise a quitter, and I won't dishonor her memory by giving up now. If they want me gone, they'll have to do it themselves, but I'm going to make sure the truth survives even if I don't. The final entries from Marcus's first year revealed a young man transforming from victim to strategist. He began documenting everything: guard schedules, security protocols, maintenance routines. Most importantly, he started building relationships with inmates who had access to different parts of the prison. Day 298. Carlos in the kitchen says the loading dock guard takes smoke breaks every hour on the hour, 15 minutes each time. Jenkins from maintenance confirmed the south wall alarm system has been broken for 3 months. They're waiting on parts. Warden doesn't know. This place is held together with paperwork and prayers. By the end of 2019 summer, Marcus had evolved from a frightened young man into something more dangerous to the corrupt system around him, a careful observer with nothing left to lose and everything to prove. The last entry before the riot was dated August 10th, 2019. Tomorrow changes everything. If this works, I'll finally be free to tell the world what really happens in here. If it doesn't, well, at least I tried. Tommy read through the night, his eyes burning under the harsh fluorescent lights that never quite dimmed in cell block C. Marcus's plan was laid out in meticulous detail across dozens of pages, each step calculated with the precision of an engineer and the desperation of a man who knew his time was running out. The riot wasn't random. Marcus had helped orchestrate it. Phase 1, Marcus had written, create the distraction. For months, Marcus had been feeding information between rival gangs, carefully stoking tensions without anyone realizing he was the common thread. A rumor here about contraband searches targeting one group. A suggestion there about another gang receiving preferential treatment. Small provocations that built pressure like steam in a kettle. The trigger would be a staged fight in the yard during the evening recreation period. Carlos Mendez from the Norteños and Deshaun Williams from the East Side Crips had agreed to throw punches over a fabricated drug debt. Both men were in on the plan, promised favors that Marcus had somehow managed to arrange through his network of contacts. Phase 2, chaos management. Marcus had studied the riot response protocols by befriending Jimmy Walsh, a lifer who had worked in administration for 15 years before a guard discovered his alcohol stash. Jimmy had revealed that during lockdowns lasting more than 4 hours, 2 specific areas of the prison were temporarily left unmonitored, while guards were redirected to contain the main disturbance. The loading dock, where Carlos had confirmed the guards' smoking schedule, and the maintenance tunnels beneath Cell Block A, Phase 3. The disappearance. This was where Marcus's plan became almost impossibly complex. He had somehow acquired a guard uniform, stolen piece by piece, over 6 months from the laundry detail where he worked. The patches were hand-sewn copies created by Maria Santos, an inmate serving time for counterfeiting who had become something of a legend for her artistic skills. During the chaos of the riot response, Marcus would slip into the uniform and make his way to the loading dock. A delivery truck from Riverside Food Services made weekly runs, and Marcus had memorized the schedule. The driver, according to Carlos, always left the truck running while making deliveries. Standard protocol 2. Keep refrigerated items cold. Phase 4. The new life. The most chilling part of Marcus's plan was how thoroughly he had researched life as a fugitive. Pages of the diary contained detailed notes about homeless shelters in Los Angeles, day labor opportunities that paid cash, and even a contact in Mexico, someone named Elena, who had apparently promised to help him disappear completely in exchange for information about guard corruption, but it was the final phase that made Tommy's hands shake as he read. Phase 5, Justice. Marcus had documented everything: names, dates, amounts of money, specific incidents of abuse. He had photographs, somehow smuggled by visitors and hidden throughout the prison. He had recorded conversations using a device smuggled in by someone he referred to only as the lawyer's friend.
"I'm not just escaping," Marcus had written in his final entry. "I'm taking down the whole rotten system. Patterson, Morrison, Hayes, they think they can break people without consequences. They're wrong, even if I die trying. The evidence..."
Will survive? I've made sure of that. Tommy closed the diary, his mind racing. If Marcus had succeeded, if he had really escaped during the riot, then somewhere out there was a man with enough evidence to expose massive corruption at Riverside. But if the plan had failed? Tommy looked around his cell with new eyes, wondering how many other secrets were hidden in these walls, and what had really happened to Marcus Rivera on August 11th, 2019. Tommy couldn't sleep. For 3 days after discovering Marcus's diary, he had been consumed by questions that seemed to multiply with each rereading. The official report on the 2019 riot stated that Marcus Rivera had been killed during the chaos. His body never recovered due to a fire that had consumed part of cell block A. Case closed, file archived. But Marcus's final entries told a different story. Hidden in the back pages of the diary, Tommy found what Marcus called his insurance policy.
A detailed map of evidence caches throughout the prison.
Photographs hidden in library books, recorded conversations buried in the garden behind the chapel, and most shocking of all, a master list of corrupt guards and their specific crimes. The evidence wasn't just about Patterson, Morrison, and Hayes. Marcus had uncovered a network that included Deputy Warden Collins, 3 more guards, and even someone in the medical unit who had been falsifying injury reports to cover up beatings. Tommy's hands trembled as he read the final entry, dated August 11th, 2019, the day of the riot. It's 3 p.m. The fight should start in 2 hours. I can hear the tension building in the yard. Voices are louder, movements sharper. Everyone can feel something's coming. Patterson walked by my cell 3 times this morning. He knows something's up, but he doesn't know what. Good. Carlos confirmed. The truck schedule to Sean is ready. Jimmy got me the final piece I needed, a copy of the gate codes that change weekly. Everything is in place, but I need to write this down, just in case. Elena isn't who I thought she was. The lawyer's friend who's been helping me smuggle things in. I saw him talking to Patterson yesterday. Long conversation, money changed.
Hands. I think I've been set up. They know about the escape plan.
They're going to let me try, and then they're going to kill me during the riot chaos. Perfect cover. 1 more inmate casualty, case closed, but they don't know about the real insurance policy. They think the evidence is with Elena. It's not. It's all here, in the walls of this place. If I die, someone will eventually find it. Someone who cares about truth. If you're reading this, you're that someone. The evidence is real. The corruption is real. The list of names on the back page, all real. I'm not going to run anymore. I'm going to face them head-on during the riot. If I'm going to die, I'm going to make sure they have to look me in the eye when they do it. And maybe, just maybe, someone will be watching. Someone who can't be bought. My real name isn't Marcus Rivera. It's Michael Reyes. I'm from Boyle Heights. My sister Sophia works at LA County Hospital. She's a nurse. Tell her I never stopped fighting. Tell her the truth mattered more than freedom. Whoever you are, whatever brought you to this cell, this diary, this moment, you have a choice. You can pretend you never found this, serve your time quietly, and go home to your life. Or you can make sure that Michael Reyes didn't die for nothing. Choose wisely. Choose justly. Choose courage. Tommy set down the diary, his vision blurred with tears he hadn't expected. Outside his cell, the normal sounds of prison life continued. Guards making rounds, inmates calling to each other, the distant hum of the ventilation system. But everything felt different now. He wasn't just Tommy Chen, white-collar criminal counting down days until release. He was the keeper of a dead man's truth, the only person who knew that Michael Reyes had died, not as an escaping fugitive, but as a whistleblower who had chosen courage over survival. The question now was, what was Tommy going to do about it? 2 weeks passed before Tommy made his decision. 14 days of staring at the diary, reading and rereading Michael's final words, weighing the risks against his conscience. 14 nights of sleepless tossing, imagining Sophia Reyes going about her work at LA County Hospital, never knowing her brother had died a hero. The decision came during morning count on a Tuesday that dawned grey and cold over Riverside. Guard Patterson walked past Tommy's cell, keys jangling, the same arrogant swagger that Michael had described in his entries. The same man who had likely orchestrated Michael's death and covered it up as riot casualties. Tommy had been scheduled for release in 8 months. Good behavior, exemplary record, no incidents. He could serve his time quietly, walk out the gates next November, and return to his daughter and the life he was trying to rebuild. Or he could honor a dead man's courage. That afternoon, Tommy requested a meeting with the prison chaplain, Father Rodriguez, one of the few staff members Michael's research had shown to be completely clean. In the quiet of the chapel office, with its smell of old wood and candle wax, Tommy made his choice. "Father, I need to tell you about something I found. Something important." Tommy handed over the diary, watching as the older man's expression changed from polite curiosity to shock to grim determination. Father Rodriguez had been at Riverside for 12 years. He had seen Michael Reyes in this very office, had tried to counsel him through the harassment and despair. "I wondered what had really happened to that boy," Father Rodriguez said quietly. The official story never felt right. Together they contacted the FBI's Public Corruption Unit. Not through normal channels, Michael's research had shown those could be compromised, but through Father Rodriguez's brother, a federal prosecutor in San Francisco who specialized in police misconduct cases. The investigation that followed was swift and devastating. Michael's evidence caches, exactly where his map indicated, yielded photographs, audio recordings, and documentation that painted a picture of systematic abuse and corruption spanning years. Guard Patterson was arrested at his home on a Thursday morning. Morrison and Hayes followed within hours. Deputy Warden Collins was found in his office, shredding documents, when federal agents arrived. Tommy's role as the discoverer of evidence led to his immediate transfer to a federal facility for his own protection. The transfer also meant early release. His cooperation with the investigation reduced his sentence to time served. On the day Tommy walked out of federal custody, 6 months before his original release date, he took a bus to Los Angeles, to Boyle Heights, to LA County Hospital. Sophia Reyes was exactly as Tommy had imagined, small, fierce, with her brother's eyes and the same stubborn set to her jaw. She cried when Tommy told her the truth about Michael, cried harder when he explained how her brother had chosen truth over escape, justice over survival. "He always said he was going to change the world somehow," she whispered, clutching the diary Tommy had been allowed to give her. "I just never thought it would cost him everything." 6 months later, Tommy received an invitation to a ceremony at LA County Hospital. They were dedicating a new wing to Michael Reyes, funded by the settlement from the lawsuit Sophia had filed against the Department of Corrections. The Michael Reyes Memorial Wing would provide medical care and counseling services for former inmates, trying to rebuild their lives. As Tommy stood in the crowd, watching Sophia cut the ribbon, he thought about choices, about the moment in his cell when he could have resealed that hole in the wall, hidden the diary, and served his time in silence. Michael Reyes had made his choice 4 years ago in a prison cell, facing certain death, but refusing to let injustice win. Tommy had made his choice in that same cell, deciding that some truths are worth any risk. The memorial plaque next to the entrance read, "In memory of Michael Reyes, 1996-2019, he chose courage." Tommy smiled, knowing that somewhere, in whatever place brave souls go when their work on earth is done, Michael finally knew that his truth had mattered, that his courage had not been wasted, that justice, delayed but not denied, had finally found its way home.